will now open up the Board of Architectural Review for May 12th, 2025, and we will start with roll call.
Thank you, Chair Anderson. I'll begin with Chair Anderson.
Here.
Vice Chair Whalen.
Here.
Board Member Anderson.
Here.
Board Member Noon.
Here.
Board Member Six.
Here.
And Board Member Sofrin.
Here.
We have quorum. Thank you.
Okay, we will move on to general business. Item A is public comment. Any member of the public may address the board for up to 2 minutes on any subject within its jurisdiction that is not scheduled on the agenda.
Thank you, Chair Anderson. At this time, I do not have any in-person public comment speaker slips. We do not have any participants online, and we did not receive any written correspondence for general public comment, so I'll give it back to you.
Okay, we will close public comment and go to the approval of the minutes from the meeting on April 28th.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, let's take a vote.
Thank you. I'll begin with Chair Anderson.
Yes.
Vice Chair Whalen.
I'll abstain due to absence.
Board Member Anderson.
Yes.
Board Member Noon.
Yes.
Board Member Six.
Yes.
And Board Member Sofrin.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes from the consent meeting on May 5th. What? Is that right? Wouldn't it be from last week? Yeah, a little, can you clarify between item C and D, please? Wouldn't item C be from last week's approval minutes from last week's consent meeting? Oh, today's May 12th. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Oh my God.
You threw me off.
I know, I threw myself off. I'm sorry.
was like,
Consent
what?
meeting from May 5th. Good Lord.
Motion to approve?
Okay, second. Thanks.
I'll begin with Chair Anderson.
Yes.
Vice Chair Whalen.
Abstain.
Board Member Anderson.
Yes.
Board Member Noon.
Yes.
Board Member Six.
Yes.
And Board Member Sofrin.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you.
I see the question. So the ratification, we ratify and approve the minutes today, but you approve the minutes prior to ratifying the minutes? Okay, got it. Item D, ratification of action taken on the consent calendar of May 5th and May 12th. Do you read these in?
So moved.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Regarding one of the items that was on the consent calendar for today, the decision was to continue it to the full board from today's consent calendar to today's full board agenda. To be consistent with the Brown Act, we do need to schedule that formally on the full board agenda. So we're requesting that to be on the next available full board meeting for Architectural Board of Review as a date certain. Yeah.
So the next available date would be June 9th. And I can pull up that meeting schedule.
And again, we can't open up a full discussion on that particular item, again, since it's not on today's agenda for full board. But just as a reminder what that project is. So it's a housing authority project to do adaptive reuse of an existing hotel to 100% affordable housing for homeless populations. It was previously reviewed at the full board and then continued the consent. But yeah, the consent reviewers requested it to be heard at the full board. Thank you.
I think for context, Ellen Kokinda, Design Review Supervisor, it'd be helpful for the consent reviewers today to clarify what the issues were, and then the full board will be ready to review it.
Okay, sure. Board Member Anderson and I were at consent today, and we disagreed that the details provided represented Spanish traditional architecture.
Thank you. And so this will have to, again, the minutes are, the request is to ratify. This will have to come back, and generally, again, this is one of those projects that it is 100% affordable, so I think initially the ABR felt comfortable moving it to consent, but because it was a 1-to-1 vote to not get approval, it couldn't be approved. That's what the, that's how it works when there's a tie, that it's a tie is essentially a denial, and there wasn't an interest in denying it per se, so that's why it was referred to the full board. So I just want to clarify the direction on that. So this will have to come back, and we'll see it. Again, if you ratify it, it would be the motion to continue it to full board for a date certain of June 9th.
Do we need to change that motion, or can that be part of what you just said?
I think that needs
Okay.
to be the motion for this for
Okay.
that, for the May 12th minutes for that item.
Okay. Okay, so I think Board Member 6 had made a motion to ratify these, right? That's what's on the floor?
I will support the revised
Okay.
motion.
So I'll second.
Okay. I'll begin with Chair Anderson,
Yes.
Vice Chair Whalen,
Yes.
Board Member Anderson,
Yes.
Board Member Noon,
Yes.
Board Member 6,
Yes.
and Board Member Sofrin.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Okay, item E, any announcements, requests by applicants for continuances and withdrawals, future agenda items, or appeals? Any announcements?
Just a reminder that 418 North Milpas is going to be scheduled at City Council, and on the May 5th, 13th, so tomorrow, it will be scheduled for a future date. And Board Member Sofrin already volunteered to attend that date. If that changes for some reason, we will let you know. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any subcommittee reports? Okay, let's move on to item 1. Okay, this is a one-time pre-application consultation review. Oh, okay. Item 1, 2 North Calle Cesar Chavez. Proposal to demolish the existing surface 79 space parking lot and construct a 2-story, 33,355 square foot warehouse research and development light industrial building with 22 uncovered parking spaces. The first floor consists of 20,111 square foot warehouse space with a 6,232 square foot mezzanine. The second floor consists of a 7,011 square foot research and development use. The project site is zoned M1/SD3, light manufacturing coastal overlay, and has a coastal land use plan designation of industrial. Planning Commission approval of a coastal development permit, development plan, and transfer of existing development rights will be required with the formal planning application. This review is a one-time pre-application consultation for comments only. No final appealable decision will be made at this hearing. Project compatibility findings will be required with submittal of a formal planning application and project design approval. Do we have some, okay, so we have
Chair.
something from staff. And
Thank you, Chair. Pilar Plummer, Associate Planner with the City of Santa Barbara Planning and Zoning Division. So the project description did cover, overall what the project is. It's removal of an existing parking lot that provides just leased parking, not required parking for other areas in the neighborhood. The proposal is to do a new warehouse building with also a research and development component. Since the application was submitted as a pre-application, we did an internal review. So the pre-application review team reviewed the project. We did get feedback from all the applicable parties, so stormwater, transportation, public works, on the project as well as zoning. It's generally going in the right direction in terms of consistency with all the requirements. So we're looking today for just a big picture review of the project, consistency with the findings you would be making when it does get formally submitted. And again, it will require Planning Commission approval of a coastal development permit and development plan for the non-residential square footage later. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
And Chair Anderson, I have a conflict, so I'm going to step down.
Okay, thank you. Okay, welcome. Please introduce yourselves. You have 15 minutes.
Jeff Hornbuckle with the Cornell Collective. Ryan Cornell. So we were approached on this site by the owner who wanted to do a highly sustainable mass timber warehouse and R&D facility. It's an interesting program. I'm really not at liberty to discuss right now exactly what's going to go on in this building, but what we've done is designed a very tall first floor to enable a mezzanine that surrounds it, and then the R&D on the top, and all of it has been designed as a mass timber structure. Ironically, this is literally in the same block as the Marburg building. And there was no knowledge of that project at all. In fact, the owner was surprised when he saw what we had proposed down the street. So that was our charge, and we felt that, one, this building really, given its context, across from the Verkal building, that's a very, very industrial, that we could afford to go industrial. However, we want the detailing to be really special. We do think the exterior should be a plaster building, but obviously be able to express the CLT component of this. So I'll let Jeff just kind of go through quickly the plan, first the context. Obviously, a parking lot, as Pilar mentioned, it's for lease. The Verkal building there is the photographs on the lower right. And then the McCormick building is down the street, down Calle Cesar Chavez towards the freeway, that second down on the left side. There are some existing street trees and a little oak on Calle Cesar Chavez that we intend to preserve. So next slide. This is a survey. So here's the site plan. So the issue of access to this building is obviously critical. What we've opted to do is bring the building forward to the corner, which would be consistent with the urban design guidelines, but obviously we need to provide access from the parking lot to the building. So what we've done is we've sort of carved away the corner as expressed there. We also have a little easement on that upper end for the McCormick property that we have to respect. And so this is pretty much a very, very simple space that has some very long spans to support the warehouse space. Maybe should go to a section, Jeff, or I guess to the second floor first. So that's the mezzanine. And then this is the second floor space. There are beautiful mountain views from this site. There are obviously even some coastal views. So what we've decided to do is a roof deck that will facilitate that and be sort of an adjunct to this to the R&D. And then we've placed a mechanical well in that northwest corner. So these are skip to the section first so they can kind of get a sense. So we literally are going to do these mass timber trusses that will have this tremendous span, and then the mezzanine is literally going to hang off of that structure to minimize columns in that warehouse ground floor space. So you can kind of get a sense of that. And we're, at this point, actually also contemplating that this is going to be totally mass timber, so the walls are going to be CLT as well as the ceilings and roof. And then again, we're going to expose them on the inside and clad that with plaster on the outside. So we can come back to the elevations, but I think the renderings probably do the most justice. So this is the view from that parking lot, so a fairly humble little entrance with a little canopy over the door. And then this is the view from basically looking west, northwest from 500. And then this is a view at the corner showing those existing street trees and the one little oak. I think we're also supplementing that oak on the Calle Cesar Chavez side. So planting some kind of a really special tree in that little notch we've created in the corner. And then this is looking back at that north elevation that is kind of on the property line. We've set it back to allow for landscaping and openings. And then we're trying to put as much solar on the building as possible. So we've got it as kind of a canopy over the mechanical and then on the second floor roof, which we've just placed at a very subtle slope. So I think the building speaks for itself. We do want to have this plinth at the ground. It's not in the flood zone, but, potentially subject to sea level rise. And so we're going to raise the building up slightly and create that concrete plinth for it to rest on. Anything else? Happy to answer questions.
Okay, thank you. We will open up public comment for item 1.
Thank you, Chair Anderson. At this time, I do not have any speaker slips for public comment for this item, though if anyone in the room would like to speak, they can fill out a speaker slip at this time. Though I'm not seeing any movement, we do not have any participants online, and we did not receive any written correspondence for this item, so I will give it back to you.
Okay, we'll close public comment and move to questions from the board. Vice Chair Whalen?
Gosh, well, I suppose I can't ask if your intention is to remake this entire neighborhood, but good on you. The wainscot concrete plinth, is that a pattern that you anticipate?
Well, I think we do some kind of board form of some kind, yes.
And could you talk about the other materials? It looks like there's some sort of copper-colored material around the entry door. It's visible right there.
Well, I think we were assuming that we would have copper flashing and copper gutters on the building. That was an attempt to maybe expose some of that CLT where it is covered, is really the idea. And I think that we would be using aluminum windows for the fenestrations.
And on that windows and doors, is that, do you anticipate a dark black tone finish?
Yeah, maybe not black, but certainly, maybe a more natural bronze would be appropriate, but yeah.
So was the idea to slope the roof to collect rainwater, or was it PV exposure?
Well, yeah, I think it was primarily PV exposure, although it's obviously pretty flat, and we're not really orienting it like, we're like the solar panels that we're doing on Marburg. These we were going to lay flush with that slight slope to the southwest. That's at least the concept at this point.
So there isn't an intention to collect the rainwater and
No, I think there
Other
would.
than-
I think there would be. I think this client is very interested in making this building as sustainable as possible. So I think that we have a lot of strategies like that we want to pursue.
very good. And my last question is, did you explore other locations for this mechanical well and secondary PV array?
We
Why that location?
I think that location, because the view from the roof really is predominantly to the northeast towards the mountains. And, that was the location that would block the least view, because obviously the other roof is then looking back towards the coast. So it sort of seemed like, a chance to do something in that corner that would be honest, but, not obstruct any of those views.
Those are my questions, Chair Anderson.
Board Member Six?
Yes, thank you, Chair Anderson. Is the height of the plinth determined by some kind of flood formula, or is it architectural, or?
It's both. I mean, we wanted, again, the building to be up a little bit, so I think we're up 2.5 feet now. or
No, we're
2
only up
feet.
a foot.
Oh, we're only up a
Yeah.
foot now. But then we wanted that wainscot to come up and be a little bit of provide an adequate aesthetic base to the
Okay.
building.
All right. Is the roof well, is the floor of the roof well the same as the main roof of the second floor?
Yes.
It's not depressed, correct?
Correct, it's the same.
Okay. Obviously, the power poles will go down in the block? No?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, any lines that are serving this property will go underground,
Uh-huh.
but I don't think we're going to remove the power lines on the street.
Okay. So you will be upgrading the landscaping in the parkway?
Well, what we want to do is go back to that site plan, Jeff. It's kind of an interesting, Katie O'Reilly Rogers actually did this landscape plan, and for whatever reason, this is where the disposition of the street trees are. So we would like to keep the street trees and just make this kind of a maneuver rather than putting them in the actual parkway.
All right. I was thinking, yeah, I understand that. I get that. On the other side, on Cesar Chavez, seems the sidewalk is right up against the curb right now, correct?
Yeah, we would do a parkway there,
Yeah,
and you
okay.
can see that one oak
Great,
that is existing. It would
uh-huh.
remain, and then we would add additional oaks in that parkway.
great.
So, yeah, in that case, you can see we're
Oh.
actually, we would have to dedicate or provide an easement or whatever for the right-of-way as that sidewalk moved inboard.
A lot of street improvements then.
Yeah.
Well, you said I can't ask what goes on in the, but
Go ahead.
is, whatever it is the loading dock in the back quarter of the hind end of the parking lot. You have to go through the parking to get there. Is that appropriate and functionally?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there aren't any super large things that will be in this space, but it will be
Okay.
full of,
So whatever they are, they're small things.
some
Maybe.
of them.
Maybe.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I had to sign an NDA, so.
I think that's my questions. Thank you.
Okay. Board Member Anderson?
Okay, so just so I understand, the entry is not on grade then, or were you talking about a plinth?
No, the entry is on grade, and we're going to slightly slope. So as Jeff said, the finished floor is up a foot from the existing grade, so we're going to slope the sidewalk up at 5% to get to that main front door and then lobby space. And so that will serve, the elevator is a two-door elevator, so we have the slight step up, and we'd use the elevator for the accessible path to the first floor. And then it obviously serves the second floor R&D space and the roof deck.
I see, and then maybe the section conveys this, but is the wainscot or the water table, that's obviously much higher than the top of the slab?
Yeah, we've got the window sills at, basically 3 feet above the finished floor, and so that wainscot comes up to that sill elevation.
Okay, got it. And then, is there a reason why the facade of the building doesn't come to the actual sidewalk, or is that because of the setback there? Or you wanted a landscape buffer in front of the building?
Yeah, we
Okay.
wanted a landscape buffer.
Okay. And then for the actual exterior envelope or the expression of the facade is and thanks for providing the context about the client and the CLT and the R&D programming, because that's super helpful to understand this. And when I look at this, I kind of wonder, why isn't the structure expressed even more? Is there a reason why you chose to put so much white plaster on the facade as opposed to open up more of the facade to see into some of those structural members?
Well, as far as at the ground floor, I think that there is going to be a need for privacy, so we don't want a lot of openings, and there's going to be some times when actually that ground floor wants to be completely dark. So we didn't want a lot of exposure on the public side for the first floor, but obviously for the second floor, we want abundant light and exposure. So I think that was the main thing. And, we explored and researched the notion of actually exposing the CLT, but I've concluded quite strongly that that's not a good idea in this climate. No matter how we try to finish it, it's just not going to work. So I think they have agreed that plaster really is sort of the most appropriate solution given Santa Barbara, and it just, it feels like the right thing to do.
We've also got to obviously insulate the building, so, plastering it allows us to do rigid insulation on the exterior of the
And then expose the CLT.
Right, and then having it exposed on the inside, which is important.
Okay, got it. And then, so these vertical slots, can you talk about that? Is that programmatically, that's some vertical circulation?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Yeah, and then similarly on this north elevation, you can see here's that stair that comes up along that north side. So we've sort of, punched these sort of more vertical openings as it progresses up that stair.
Okay, so you said you have the outboard insulation. So what's the wall thickness? Do you have I didn't see you have a jamb detail, or you have a recessed window condition there then?
Yes, yeah. I mean, we don't have details at this point yet, but yeah, it will be recessed. Yeah, it'll be
There's some depth.
Yeah, I mean, it'd
a
be
punched opening.
Yeah, it'll be probably at least a 7 or 8 inch thick wall.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, at least.
At
I think,
least.
yeah.
All right, that's pretty much my questions for now.
Board Member Soffern?
No questions.
I don't have any questions either. So let's go to comments. Vice Chair Whalen.
A very exciting building. It's a spectacular space that you've designed for the third floor, the R&D. Sort of jealous and envious of anybody who gets to spend time up there.
No kidding.
And I do think it's a handsome complement to the Marburg building. Mr. Hornbuckle, could you go through the 4 elevations again, see if I can make my point here? You've set up a rhythm and a regularity on 3 of the facades. And the 4th facade that faces McCormick seems to be out of line with the other 3. And I would encourage you to try in some fashion to bring that regularity, that pattern, that rigor that you have to the other 3 to that one, because it will be exposed to all that southbound Cesar Chavez traffic. That's what you're going to see. And to build on that point, the mechanical well seems to break up the ideas that you have going for the rest of the building, specifically the PV panels. What I think one of the handsome expressions is the eave detail on the 3rd floor. And if somehow that expression could be used on the PV mechanical well to tie the 2 elements together, because now it sort of looks like an add-on rather than a comprehensive design. I look forward to seeing the return of the plans. Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member 6?
Thank you, Chair Anderson. I think that I agree with Mr. Wayland on the varied vertical windows. I think the rest of the building's very elegant, simple. It works well with the Vercal building of its regularity, but the random windows seemed a sense of a different style, and I think it doesn't work with the rest of the building. I think they should be more regular and pick up the pattern and the feeling that you have of the balance of the building. What turned me, if you would go to the Cesar Chavez elevation, zoom up on the top one. I saw this little guy there. And I'm concerned, we talk about providing human scale, and I think that wainscot, I understand it's a lot less on the other side, the higher side, but if there's a way to either lower the whole thing or step it up or just around the loading dock where you need, or you need it that high on the loading dock, and if you're concerned with privacy into that secret thing in the building, maybe a lower opaque panel at the windows would work, so you're not seeing a peek through. But I think the
That was a little person that you put in there, right?
No. In fact, I measured them. I measured them. So anyway, I think that's important to the human scale of this thing on that elevation especially. I think that I don't know. I think there could be. I know it imbalances things, but I think there could be one of the handicap accessible pathways could be a whole new finger of landscaping. I think you're redundant on those. I think when you have them together, you can flip and borrow side by side. Correct?
What now? I'm not sure.
So the
following that.
north one is redundant because the south one serves both handicap spaces, correct?
No, this is van accessible, has to be on the
Has
right
to be.
side of the
Could you flip the
vehicle.
the
They're
other
both
one over?
van.
Oh, they're both fan.
Yeah, this is van accessible and this is van EV
Okay.
capable.
All
So they
right.
both have to be on the right side.
Well, then, yeah, okay. It was just concern. I hope that we get some big shade trees in that parking lot. I think that landscaping will be important.
Yeah, that's what we've,
And then the last thing, even though I understand it's probably not a lot of public walking to this building and to the entry, but I think one of the important concepts in our guidelines is the street presence. And if one could do some kind of celebrate roof over the trash area or something as you walk through that gate behind the trash area, that, yeah, right there, somehow, even though it will be symbolic, maybe someday the use ownership of this will change, and I think it's important to have a street presence, and I think it's a little weak here.
Agreed.
And I think that it would be easy to establish something as a event along the way from the street to the entry. Those are my comments. Other than that, I think it's a nice building.
Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Anderson?
Yeah, I second those comments. I feel that the stone, the cast in place board form is great. The concept of the plinth gives it a sense of mass. I also feel that it's a little bit high. It could maybe go down a little bit relative to human scale. It feels a little tall. Maybe the sill height could come down 6 inches or a foot maybe, and bring that whole datum down. But it is definitely the right direction in my opinion. If just looking at this perspective, I like the expression of the wood at the entry on the right and the way it ties into the plaster and the concrete, how that kind of entry right where that brown Range Rover is this one exactly. I think that's a successful design moment in this project. And for me, I think the amount of white plaster, even though I really like the smooth, clean white plaster, but on this project, due to the scale of the project, having more of this kind of articulation might help it have a more human scale if this happened on other facades of the building. The verticals, I don't necessarily think that they are of a different language, and I think the slot, the concept of a slot, if these were just a deep shadow, to have these thick walls that have the plane of the glass set back, and all you see is just a shadow, I think that could be kind of cool. But I also, at the same time, do feel they are a little bit kind of like, oh man, you see this huge vertical stripe in this box. So I'm a little ambivalent on those, but I think it's potentially in the right direction. It needs just a little bit more finesse. And then the actual expression of the structure, I think it should be expressed even more so that this is a CLT building. Let's celebrate how cool this CLT building is. And then in terms of the roof deck, I love the roof deck. I just think proportionally, it feels a little big relative to the humans, the size of a person, right? And what people gather in a certain scale, right? And so I can imagine being up on that roof, and maybe it begins to almost feel like you're on the top of a parking structure. So I think it needs, how that geometry is maybe better defined as you maybe look at the mechanical space more or something, to create a more intimate experience on the roof, so it doesn't feel quite so exposed. Could potentially be, that could be developed more. But yeah, otherwise I think it's good. I think it's a good project. Thanks.
Board Member Soffren?
Yeah, I really like the direction it's going. I think it's a cool building and a nice complement to the Marburg project. I do really agree with the comment from Commissioner Whalen about the mechanical area where it doesn't fit yet, but I think I'm confident you guys will figure that out. And I don't know, I'm just kind of curious if there could be a little more articulation on the street facades. We just have this big flat white surface, and I think that there doesn't have to be too much more, but maybe there's some more indentations or something that you guys could do to add a little bit of interest, maybe some shadow lines to enhance the structure and give it more of an enduring appearance. But I'm really great direction, great project, and I do agree that I think the landscaping is going to be just really, really important to help balance this out.
Yes, I agree with all the comments. This is a great project. I would consider looking at the parapet edge and potentially adding landscape up there. I would also look at the natural break in the massing and potentially provide shadow lines at those breaks. Otherwise, I think that I could find project compatibility findings today, so.
So ready for final.
Yeah. So close. Okay, so any follow-up comments?
Yes, one, I'd appreciate a view of the project from 101 South. We went over this on the Marburg project, about the visual impact of the building. And here it's even, well, no, it's similar because it was the PV panels being this big reflective surface. So an image of the building from 101
It's
South.
a little further away, but.
It is,
We'll give
but-
you a good view. There's a couple of big tanks in the way.
Alleviate my, yeah.
And
Thank you.
It might be helpful in your sections to provide the, I think it's not the gas station. What's the other building? Is that McCormick?
Yeah, I think Marburg owns the property actually that is to the east, and then McCormick owns the property to the north.
Are you
Okay.
talking about up here?
Oh, no, disregard that. Never mind. Okay.
Yeah, that is the gas.
Yeah.
There are pumps there on
Yeah.
that, on
Yeah.
that property though.
Right.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah,
They're
okay.
here, yeah. And there are some large tanks kind of along this north side.
Great. Any other comments? Okay. Then I think we've made our comments and we will
You
close
guys
that
haven't been
item.
able to go home this early in a long time, have you?
I know. We
Huh?
will adjourn our meeting for today.
Wow,
Thank you.
thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.